Dr. Paul Marshall Science Talk. Dr. Paul has been studying martial arts for over 40 years. Dr. Paul's constant study of the human sciences and the physics of living has earned him 3 PhDs and is always looking to educate one's knowledge to understanding. Now welcome Dr. Paul Dyer, Grandmaster.
Hello, welcome to Martial Arts Science Talk. I'm your host, Dr. Paul, and we're going to be talking with an incredible guest here on Martial Science Talk. Now, I had the fortune enough to be at the International Hall of Honors Hall of Champions, and in an event when we all get together as martial arts brothers, the one thing we like to do is communicate, conversate, and share our passions with each other and share our lives with each other. This is so important when you talk to people about the martial sciences and all of what we've been through. A lot of us have gone through many years, and some of us have gone through even more years. And I've had the blessing and the fortune to be talking to Dr. Arthur Parrott. Dr. Arthur Parrott is a 90-year-old human being who's able to share his life with us and his martial arts journey with us. And some of these seniors, and most of these seniors, we definitely start to have to get down on paper, record, recording, video, anything we can, because that is what we're all about. We're about a lineage, a family, a brother, a sisterhood, a family that shares its passion. Now, the interview will be coming up here pretty quick. And if you think it's raw, good. Because I don't want to take anything away from Dr. Parrott. I want you to listen to what he is saying, what he's teaching us. Because it's only in the teaching of our seniors that we can understand where our path is being guided. It's only through the teachings of the people above us, next to us, below us, in front of us, behind us, that we learn as students. That's the difference between being a martial artist. We're not combative. We are not combative. It's about honor, passion, and love. And in that love is where we understand the journey. That journey means everything to us. That journey is a working progress every day. We cannot survive in this world alone, nor do we want to. But we must understand how we can practice on a daily practice our martial science, our martial abilities, our compassion, our love, so we can make this world a better world. It's only through the words and the education and then the understanding that we can perceive in a better light. Now, without further ado, I'm going to welcome you, Dr. Arthur Parrott, and our interview during the International Hall of Honors Hall of Champions. Oh, that's okay. We'll figure this out. I'm Dr. Paul. We're going to be talking about martial arts and the science of martial arts and the history of martial arts. Because I think a lot of people misunderstand, and I think for us to carry on that lineage, we have to be able to teach it down. So you've been doing this for how long now?
This started when I was 14, and I'll be 90 next couple of months.
Now, it's not so much being the level you're at. What do you think a lot doesn't get teach that gets missed?
The real point in teach without being angry. You know, in fighting, if you do it angry, hey, you're going to lose. Keep a cool head. And then you should have some training, not just get out there because you see Henry, John, and Paul, do something. You don't try to do that. You need to be taught.
So with education, right, we try to get to a lot of young kids, and specifically I try to get to a lot of inner city kids because they seem to get missed in a lot of things. Maybe it's because the environment is too broken, maybe because the education's too broken, and we know all those things are broken factors. My question is how can we get to that person when they are refusing to even learn?
I think we need to start with the parents first, because if you just try to get the kids without the parents, it's going to be a little hard because they won't understand. But if you can get the parents to even come out, not to take it, but be in the school to watch the kids work out, and the kids will feel much easier, and you can control them a little better than the parents. But some kids don't want the parents around, because when they get home, the parents try to tell them what to do.
Now, I've done campaigns for different people for different reasons, and it's almost like getting out the thing to vote. People, it's not so much who I work for. I just want you to go out and vote. It's almost like I think we need a door-knocking campaign to get to the parents just to say, hey, this is here for you for not just survival, but for living.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I think it's good. But we need to start in time before they get into the regular gangs out there in the streets. And once they get into the gangs out there, then we have a problem. But we need to start when, if we know someone got a youngster, we should knock on doors and have what they call flyers or something like that, and where the school is. And a lot of them, they want to come because they don't have the money to pay the initiation fees or how much per month. And that's where we should work with our kids. We can't charge everybody because they don't have that money.
Correct.
They're just trying to make it. And some of the schools, and when I had my first school.
How long ago? What year was that?
When I was 21, that's when I had my first school. And it was over in Michigan. And I taught about 2 years without charging the kids anything. And mine ranged from 5 years old to 21 for the youth group. And I thought it was nice, and so I brought that back to Chicago, but it didn't work like that in the Chicago area. And so I had to do a different training and campaigning thing, you know. And so I started out real low and charged them like $15 a month. And then and started off like that, $15 a month. And that seemed to have worked. And schools around me would have 3 and 4 people, but they was charging like $20 and $25 a month and things like that. And so
I got a real, because we're sitting around, most people are not going to know this because it's going to be a radio. Most of us here today is black martial artists, which is the most amazing thing I could ever be around, because as martial artists, as we travel around the world, there's so few. Now, you've been in such a long time. Tell us about that inception, about that it should never be about a culture, it's about a practice. I understand that. But initially, there was a cultural difference.
Well, when I first started in Chicago, I would go on the north side, and I would peep in stores. But back up a little bit, they didn't allow Afro-Americans in any kind of arts on the north side in Chicago. And I think I was one of the first that they allowed, and because a 9-year-old was looking at me when I was 15, 16 years old, something like that. And his father wanted to know what he was doing. And he said, I'm looking at him, watch us, you know. So he came out and brought me in. So he taught me many, you know, moves, holds, and things like that. And I brought him back to the south side of Chicago. And older guys that was much older than I was around, I taught them the new stuff that they didn't know, because the only thing they knew was karate, and that's all they knew. But I started out, and then one Chinese fella, they didn't have Chinese on the north side neither. They had one school, and he had to move, and so he moved on Harlem there, and I went and worked out with him. But he was a much older person. I met him about a year or 2 ago, and he's 109 years old and still moving. And that's where I got my big start from him. And then I came up with my own, but that was later years. When I went overseas, went over to Korea, and one of my guys who really taught me.
You went to Korea because of the war, right?
Because of the war. And I made use of it while I was over there. And after the war was over, I was still over there. And my trainer was John One Son. We was in combat together, and he taught me much. And so under him, I started my own Parrott Karate and Parrott KT. And I didn't know how to perfect it. I knew what I wanted. But one of the guys here in America, Pennsylvania, he just died last year. I'm trying to cut it off for just a bit.
John Reed.
Who?
John Reed?
Trotter.
Trotter.
He perfected my style, and but he passed, and I was supposed to. But coming up to that, karate, taekwondo, all those things were my first encounter. But as I said, when I went to Korea, and after the war was over, I was still over there. And John One Son, he taught me much. And he and I was entered into a
Friendship.
And we entered into a, what they call it, illegal match. And we didn't know what we was getting into. And we went there, and we was military, but pulled off our boots and, walked in and everything. And the guy says, have you all registered yet? I said, no. I said, better hurry up and get started. So that's the only injury I carried was from in that illegal match down there. And I had never fought anyone over 100 and some pounds. And so getting up to me, I was number 17. They called me, and I'm watching the guys fight out there, but you had to be knocked out, something like that, before it would stop. You wasn't supposed to kill anyone. But if you died, we didn't know that.
Right.
It was over. And so the first thing, I like to clown, I'd get out there, the rain was, and man, I did my little choo-choo-choo because I'm first in, did my little round, and went there, and so here come this big Japanese Mongolian, and I had never fought a person that large. And he came in, the ring was pretty high, and I saw him. I went to sit down on a little old stool over there and waited. And he got in the ring, he says, whoop, the ring says, did that 3 times, and the whole ring shook. I said, now how can I fight that guy? I said, I'm going to run in, and I looked at his stomach, because I had watched those guys fight before, in movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, now, there's no way I can fight that little guy, this big guy, but I'm up in here now. But then I said, well, okay. And so they tapped the bell, I jumped up. So I says, I'm going to choke the guy. That's the only thing I get to. And he threw up his hands for me to stop. So I stopped. He went through his little ceremony, So I said, okay. So he started. I stopped like that. And so I did, the Catholic sign, help me, Lord, And he started again. See, and I stopped again. I said, that don't work. I got on my knees. I said, Lord, if ever called on you, I need you now.
Oh, you now.
And so he came, and what happened, I tell you today, never fight angry or upset. You will lose. But anyway, he came, and I buried my fist in his stomach, and I snatched it out, and he fell flat on his stomach, and he knocked his own self out. And they said, get on him. And I looked at him, saying he couldn't move. I went and put my foot on him. So it was, now you couldn't tell me nothing. I done whooped me a Mongolian. Got on back up there, and so John One Son, he went out there, he got a little guy. Bam, bam. It was over. I clapped his hands like that, and so he was sitting on the second row around, and I'm sitting on the third row. And so they called my name, I think I was 33, to go back out there. So you can't tell me nothing. I done whooped me a Mongolian.
Well, now you're 90 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You're still practicing.
Yes.
It's not so much what's the longevity, because we don't need to know that. We need to know what's the one thing you want to let us know.
Number one, stay away from whatever you call it, weed, grass, or whatever it is. If it's in medication, you do it. But otherwise, don't get addicted to it. Watch your whiskey that you drink. And also rest. We are young and stuff like that, but you still need X amount of hours of rest for the body. You may be able to sleep 3 hours, jump up and do what you have to do, but in long term, that's going to work on you. And take care of your health. And for most Afro men, at the age of 33, you make sure you have checked yourself for prostate.
That's right.
And Caucasians, it's not as bad on them, but they should.
Its rate is high.
You understand what I'm saying? And clean living. And I'm not telling you how to live your life, but 2 or 3 women don't work. If you got one lady, you stay with her, do what you have to do. And watch what they call these different diseases and stuff like that. And try to stay clean. Eat healthy. Eat healthy. Stay away from a lot of...
So you've been again, like this is going to be on radio, so this is a beautiful, beautiful belt. Who gave you your last belt as a present?
My last belt came from Dr. Smith and this young fella right here. But Dr. Smith went through the whole thing with me.
It's glad to keep people around you that love you.
Yes. And he's the one who put it up. But the Midwest Black Belt Hall of Honor is the one who presented it and he gave them the idea, and he sent to Japan, and they okayed it.
They okayed it, yeah.
And they made me a belt that's about this wide. What is that? 3 inches?
Yeah, it's a 3-inch belt.
And it's too large for me to just tie it and wear it. And so from Japan, they sent me this one with my name and everything on it. It says wear it. So in my home, I got my big one on the wall.
I have to tell you this story. My first Grandmaster belt that I was given, when my mother passed, because she was such a big influence in me in studying martial arts, I gave it to her in her casket. And she wears it in eternal life. So, yeah, and for me, I think that's probably the only belt I'll ever have, because now my mother wears it. So, and I want to thank you, Dr. Parrott, for being. It's an honor. It's a blessing for me to see you, meet you, and talk with you, and because I look up to men like you and others who guide the way, and now it's time for me to walk the footpath. Thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate the offer of talking with you, and spread the word. And I appreciate martial arts. It did much for me. If I wasn't in the martial arts, I don't know where I would be, but it has controlled me. And I also was a boxer. I only had 13 fights.
The sweet science, huh?
Yeah, and I lost 2. And I believe I didn't lose. I think they took them from me. In my last fight, I thought I wasn't going to fight no more, and they told me I'm better. And so I fought a Filipino. And he was bleeding and stuff like that. And I wanted to tell him to stop, man. What am I supposed to do? Kill the man? And they said, because they bleed, don't stop the fight. If you don't knock him down or knock him out or something, he's going to keep on fighting. And I didn't believe in that. And that was my last fight. They took it from me because they said he outpointed me. I knocked him down twice. And he was bleeding with blood all over him. And they took the fight. I said, fighting is not for me. I fought Sugar Ray Robinson's sparring partner.
Okay.
In Louisville, Kentucky. And a couple other guys I fought like that. And when we go back in there, my phone is in there. I think I have one of my pictures when I had muscles back there. So I thanks for the interview.
Thank you so much.
God bless you.
You have been listening to Dr. Paul. If you have any questions or comments, please contact him at drpaultyer@gmail.com or 701-388-1899. Now back to Dr. Paul and martial science.
Thank you. Welcome back. Now, that was such a beautiful, beautiful interview that we were able to have with Dr. Arthur Parrott. 90 years old, and as you can hear, is very strong. When we talk to martial artists about health and life and the arts and what they've gone through, it's to shine that light on that path that we have fortunately had the ability to listen to those lights, to listen to how he walked that path. You know, when you replay this and you think about what 1948, 1947, 46 was to human beings in the United States. And for a young black man, the only way he could get to the martial arts and to learn something that he wanted to dedicate his life to. And that's the difference with some of the people nowadays is, what is that dedication you're willing to put your life in? Are you willing to peep through the window so you can see what you want and learn what you need and understand where your heart lies so you can continue on your way? Dr. Parrott, as a young man, was looking through that window. But then here's the other thing. I want you to, if you didn't remember hearing it, play it back. It was then the compassion of someone to call him into that room and say, I'll teach you, even though it wasn't allowed. I'm not talking about what the legal law is. But don't get so circled or entrenched into what someone isn't going to like you doing. This is important. Compassion, love, honor. Compassion, love, honor. If you're compassionate enough, you will see past those different things. You will welcome into your heart to allow the teachings to go on, to give oneself to another. That's important. That's what the martial arts do. We give our passion and love from all walks of life to one another. Yes, we teach you the physical. And here in Martial Science Talk, we teach you the science. But this opportunity here is also going to remind you of the compassion, the love, and the honor. You hear that all the time. You hear a lot about mind, body, spirit. Compassion, love, and honor. And the only way to get to most of those things is that you have to then learn how to forgive. Because if you go back into the science part of it, if you're holding on to that, what makes you sick, what makes you incomplete, it is breaking down your body. You're not going to sleep well. You're not going to be well. So that sickness makes you angry. People who are in pain, physical pain, mental pain, causes the disturbance of joy. No one's intentionally trying to harm you, and if they are, you already know they're a sick person. If you're being attacked emotionally by someone on purpose, they are already a sick person. But if you're unable to recognize a personal attack purposefully, then they will invade you. Dr. Parrott in 1940s, growing up in the south side of Chicago, a lot of segregation, a lot of hate, a lot of division. I understand that even in 2018 now, there seems to be quite a division. We call the midterm elections have just passed. Where do you stand? within yourself. I'm not talking about the election. Again, this is not a political show. But don't let your compassion, love, and honor disrupt your existence. The environment is going to be the environment. The hatred is going to have the hatred. But it's up to us as martial artists, as martial scientists, to study the path, to bring in the light, to allow us to heal, teach, forgive. Heal, teach, forgive, then learn, then understand, then we can apply. You are listening to the AMAA Martial Arts Masters Radio Network. I'm here every Thursday at a live broadcast at the AMA Radio Network at 3 p.m. But of course, you can hear this and play this back on any other channels that is available. Martial arts is a passion of mine. It's the science. It's the love of mine. It's the teaching and the giving of my heart and my fruit is what I know to do best. We as martial artists, especially at the AMAA Martial Arts Masters Radio Network, we're trying to provide you with that ongoing education that you can have on a daily basis. You can have on a constant basis where you can use it for your notes, contact, and you don't have to be a martial artist. And I know it's on different things and I do, but you don't have to be a martial artist to understand compassion, love, and honor. But you do have to be taught it how to work it on the 3 levels of your life: mental, spiritual, and physical. There's only so many ways that people can try to teach you on a mental level. Because if you don't connect that with your spiritual or physical level, it'll fall dead. People can teach you on a physical level, but they won't teach you on a mental or spiritual level. People teach you on a spiritual level, and again, won't teach you on the mental and the physical level. Martial arts and the martial science is the only science that covers all 3 levels of life to bring you into the 4th realm. That next realm. And what is that next realm? It's when you collect all those 3 together, from the subconscious to the conscious, you are able to go to that next plane. Enlightenment, some people have called it. Nirvana. People have called it many things. But it's only until you connect all 3 with the same strength as the one you may have. You could be very strong physically, but are you strong mentally? And if you're strong mentally, that goes into your emotional. Do you understand where your emotional lies within your body? Spiritual, do you understand your spirituality, your connection to your God? Your God is your one. Spirituality is connection to all things that matter, all things on earth, creating that oneness, that connection to that. Is that as strong as you are mentally? Are you strong physically? Is your breath, is your active integration of your body, movement between muscles, fibers, and tendons and cells? Is that strong? That's the creation, the mind, body, and spirit. Through the martial science, we're able to do that. So, listen to this. Take heed. Take your notes. Always contact me. You're listening to Dr. Paul Dyer, and I'm Martial Arts Science Talk, and I'm here. You can always contact me at 701-388-1899, or you can always email me at drpaul.wdyer@gmail.com. That's DRPAULWDYER. Namaste, and I wish you all well. Peace.